Maybe I'll write it here. Yeah, you can switch off the TVs. The classroom display. The classroom. Some of you sitting at the back, why don't you move forward? You also. See, these two places are empty. This whole first is empty. Today mostly we're not showing any circuits today. We just work on board itself. And also I wanted to ask you whether you received the mail that I sent regarding some announcements. And I hope your time is free tomorrow in the evening, 5:30 to 7. Yes. Chemistry lab. What? Oh, okay. There is a chance that the time may extend. Where is the location of the here itself? Okay, okay. So sometimes it goes up to 6. So what about tomorrow's experiment? Will it finish by 5:30? So what? See, my objective is that most of you should be there because we have less time. Like in next 3 days, we'll try to finish this 1 credit part of this course. So of course there is I think all of you are also doing the magnetic circuits course. So some of the points which we might not have discussed in this, we'll also cover in it. So for example, inductor is there. So how the inductor is, so there is some magnetism aspect also. One is something. Thank you. There is some magnetism part in the inductance. So that we'll try to cover in the second part of that course, that one which starts after this. So I thought more people should be there. So you say 5:30 is difficult to make it. We can make it 5:45. So can you try to make it by 5:45? So but anyway, I'll be there by 5:30. So we can always those who are reaching there by 5:30, you can always discuss one or two things. But then officially, then I'll start at 5:45. And because it is in LH2 and because it is outside the regular time and all, it would not be possible to record by video. So I suggest that you all try to attend it. So we'll start at 5:45. Maybe up to 7, and then 5:45, 1.5 hours. No? So then maybe 7:15, depending on this thing. So another thing I wanted to do was that you are writing all these assignments. Okay, so somebody has to correct that. Okay, so even the correction of that assignment will be done tomorrow itself in the evening. So and I'll try to exchange the papers amongst you. So maybe something like that you might have done already, correcting your papers among yourself. Usually it happens when you're going for coaching or something. So because I don't want to spend the entire in fact, it will be time for you also. You'll have to wait for the knowing this thing. So I'll try to tomorrow evening itself. So I'll get some red pens, but those who have red pens, you bring them. It will be nice to correct with red pens. So tomorrow we'll meet at 5:45. That is not here in LH2. So this some other class is going on here. Okay. And we'll see with regards to submission. So if you want to submit your assignment, nice that you can submit by 5 in my office. But then you are saying there is a chemistry lab at that time. So one option is you can directly bring it to the class itself at 5:45 instead of submitting to me. So and in case if you're worst case you are not able to attend the class and all, then you hand over your assignment to one of your friends and then let them bring it to the class and all. Okay. So basically the objective is that we try to learn something from that interaction of 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Okay. With that, let's begin today's session, which is on power in AC circuits. So in last class we had just introduced or seen how to solve an AC circuit and all these things. So and the conclusion was that in the last class, solving an AC circuit is just similar to solving a DC circuit. So whereas the components in the DC circuit, you know, the voltages and resistance and all, they are all real numbers. The same operations you will do in the AC circuits, but the values are all complex numbers. Okay. So you have a magnitude and a phase, or you have a real component and a imaginary component. So except that all the theorems you can apply and all these things. Okay. So however, this point about power in AC circuits we'd like to touch upon today is something more slightly different than the power in DC circuits, which is I square R or V into I and all. So something similar happens in the AC circuits also, but then something slightly different. So we'll see that today. To illustrate this, I'll start with a simple circuit like this. So this is RL circuit. So let's say 10 ohms, and then let's say this is J30. Okay. So when I write J30, what does that mean? It is the is also in ohms. It is a reactance of this inductance. Okay. So and let's say the supply voltage is 80 volts. Okay. And when I mention 80 volts, it means it is the RMS value. It is not the peak value. Usually, if I write it in the form of an equation, okay, some 100 into sine, something like that, then it is an amplitude. Whereas if I just specify the voltage is 80 volts, then it is the RMS value. Okay, this is the voltage which normally a voltmeter will measure. If it is a AC quantity, you measure it, you will get 80 volts. And since the angle is not given, you can assume this as a reference. So 0 degrees phase for the 80 volts. That means I am choosing the time t equal to 0 in such a way that when this voltage starts at the time itself, I'll take time t equal to 0. So this is the phase is 0 degrees. Now the question we are asking is how much is the current? And we already done that before. So how much is the current? Okay. So just apply Ohm's law, voltage divided by impedance. Okay. So what is the impedance? So impedance is 10 plus J30. Okay. So this impedance you can convert into, this is a complex number, you convert in polar form. Okay. How much will it be? So you notice that there is so much of AC circuit solving, a lot of it is all the time you are doing polar to rectangular form conversion, and then rectangular form to polar form conversion, addition, subtractions and multiplications, this kind of things you are doing. So you want to multiply or divide, suitable form is polar form. You want to add or subtract, the suitable form is rectangular form. So I want to divide. So because V divided by impedance Z. So for division, it's nice to have a polar form. So what is the polar form of this? So let me just calculate myself also. So most of your calculators will have this feature of complex mode. So you can set your calculator in complex mode, and then you can always do that. You can check how to do that, or you can use computers to solve it. Okay, like I am doing. So I just calculated it. So the magnitude is 31.6, and what is the angle? Uh, 71.5 degrees. Okay. So how do you do this conversion from rectangular to polar form? It's very important for you to know this. So imagine that there is a triangle. Let's call it impedance triangle. Okay. So impedance triangle. So on the real axis, horizontal axis, you show the resistance. Okay. So this is 10. Okay. And on the vertical axis, you show the reactance. Okay. So this is plus 30. So plus means you can take the upward direction. Minus means if it is a capacitor, you can show it as a downward direction. But then it's not, as long as you are doing it following the same convention, there is not a problem. So I can write it here or here, anywhere you can do it. It's just a triangle. So let's say this is 30. Okay. So maybe I'll slightly reduce this length to make it. So this is 10 and this is 30. And this is 90 degrees. So because horizontal vertical, then this value is your impedance. So this is R equal to 10 and 30 is nothing but your XL. Okay, so what is this Z? So 10 square plus 30 square under square root. Okay, it's just a magnitude. So it's another way of saying it is like, consider this is a origin point and then there is a vector. Okay, so this vector horizontal component is 10, vertical component is 30. Then what is the length of this vector? So it's the same, the equation is same, just that here I am drawing a triangle, here it's a phasor diagram. Okay. So what is the value? 10 square plus 30 square under square root, you will get 31.6. And how to get this angle? So the angle is this angle phi. So angle between the resistance and the impedance. Okay, not the angle between the reactance and the impedance, angle between these two. What is that? So in this case, what you can do? You can use cos inverse. What is that? See, isn't it? Cos inverse R by Z. This is one formula of finding out what is phi. Or you can also find the phi as tan inverse XL by R. So you can do any of these. In my laptop I tried this formula, then I got the angle as 71.5 degrees. Okay. So this is your impedance Z. Okay. Next, what is the current? So V by Z. So this is nothing but Ohm's law. Voltage is I into Z. So Z I bring it this side. So what is V? So V is given 80 volts RMS and 0 degrees angle. So 80, 0 degrees. divided by this one, 31.6, 71.5 degrees. So now you see it is very convenient for division. So I can divide the magnitude and I can subtract the angle. Okay. So what is the magnitude now? 80 divided by 31.6. So let me do that. So how much? 80 divided by 31.6. You don't have calculator to do even that? 2.53. Yeah. So 2.53 and the angle will be minus 71.5 degrees. Because this is 0 degrees in the numerator, 71.5 degrees in the denominator, it goes up, it subtracts. Okay, this is how the two polar numbers are divided. Okay, if you multiply, then multiply the magnitude, add the angle. If you divide, then you do like this. So what is the interpretation of this? The current is 2.53 amperes RMS value and the current is lagging the voltage by 71.5 degrees angle. Okay. So if you want to diagrammatically represent this, you can do something like this. So x-axis is V equal to 80 volts at 0 degrees. This is a phasor representing the voltage. Okay. And what is a phasor representing the current? So the current, the length is 80 and then this one I equal to 2.53. So actually this is not correct. And this angle is 71.5 degrees. So because it is negative, I am going downwards like this. So this angle is supposed to be positive. So you can say now voltage is leading current by 71.5 degrees or current is lagging the voltage by 71.5 degrees. So normally the terminology is that current is lagging. So we consider voltage as reference and then the current is lagging. This circuit is a lagging circuit. Okay. So I hope you are following up to here. Now the question is, what is the, let's do voltages. Okay, what is the voltage of resistance? So if I connect a voltmeter here, let's call this VR, and if I connect a voltmeter here, VL. So what is VR, what is VL? Okay, so already I heard an answer, VR is 25.3. Okay, because the current is flowing in this 10 ohms resistance, it will have this one. So, but if I say, let me write it here. So voltages. So VR equal to I into R, isn't it? Voltage of resistance is current into resistance value. Now I is a polar complex number, R is also a complex number with zero imaginary part. So I can write it, current is 2.53 minus 71.5 degrees multiplied by resistance is 10 0 degrees or 10 plus J0 whatever, 10 angle 0 degrees. Okay. So when I do this calculation, so I will get how much? 25.3 volts and that voltage is lagging 71.5 degrees. Okay. Now this voltage of resistance is 25.3 volts lagging which one? Lagging the supply voltage. Okay. So two voltages may also be lagging and leading. Okay. The voltage of supply is 80 at 0 degrees. The voltage of resistance is 25.3 at minus 71.5 degrees. So what is Vx? Let me write it here, Vx or VL. So I into XL. So what is I? 2.53 minus 71.5 degrees. And what is X? It is this one, J30. Okay. So J30 is or 30 at angle of 90 degrees, the J operator. Okay. So 30 at an angle of 90 degrees. So when you multiply these two, so how much is that? 2.53 multiplied by 30. How much is that? 75.9. Okay. So let's make it 76. And what is the angle? 18.5. Okay. So now this angle is positive. That means this 76 volts is the voltage of the inductance, which is leading the supply voltage by 18.5 degrees. Okay. Now let me draw that on the vector diagram or phasor diagram. So see here. So this white one is the supply voltage. Okay. What is VR? VR is 25.3 minus 71.5 degree. So VR will be exactly on this parallel to this line. By the way, look at the magnitude. This is 80. This is 2.53. But because this is volts and this is amperes, I can use a different scale. Okay. But if this is 80 volts and this is 2.53 volts, then the length should be much smaller. Okay. So notice that. So anyway, now what I'll do is I'll make a what you call the mark a VR. So let me mark VR something like this. Okay, this is VR. Okay, VR is in phase with I, but VR is lagging the supply voltage by 71.5 degrees. Okay, so what is the VL 76 angle 18.5 degrees? So I can use this reference here and then draw something like this. So this length is VL 76 volts, and then maybe the angle is 18.5 degrees. Okay. So what is 18.5 plus 71.5? Its total adds to 90 degrees. Okay. So VR and VL are always perpendicular to each other because voltage of resistance and voltage of inductance. Now what is the addition of these two? If I just complete this thing, the addition of these two will add to input voltage 80. Okay. So VR plus VL is equal to 80 volts. That is nothing but our Kirchhoff's voltage law. Okay. So is that okay? So what we do now is instead of doing all this long cut thing, we can do something like this. Voltage triangle. Okay. So what you do is you have like this. Multiply this by current, multiply this by current, multiply this by current. So I'll get, maybe I'll draw it here. VR equal to I into R, VL equal to I into XL, and then V equal to I into Z. Okay. So can you verify this? What is I into Z? What is Z? 31.6. Okay. What is 31.6 multiplied by 2.53? The magnitude of current into magnitude of impedance. Just magnitudes. What is this 2? So 79 point something, which is almost 80. In fact, you can take the angles also. Plus 71.5 minus 71.5 will cancel out each other. You will get 80. Okay. So these two angles are exactly same, the same angle. Okay, this angle is same phi. Okay. So now, if these two are given, how will you find out what is the angle? You can still use the same this thing. You can say tan inverse of V of L divided by V of R. Even this one will give you the same angle phi. So it's nothing different. So see, since anyway I'm adding, if I just move this phasor from here to here, okay, so here. So let's say O, A and B. So this O, A, B is nothing but this one, O, A and B. Okay, it's exactly the same thing. So you just see this thing. So how to get voltage triangle from impedance triangle? Just multiply each side by I, you will get the impedance triangle. Sorry, voltage triangle. Now I would like to ask the main question of today's discussion. What about the power? Okay. So power we already know I square R. So let's remove entire this part. See, power triangle, just multiply each side by I again. Okay. So what you will get? So PR, power in resistance, will be I square R. This you already know. Okay. The I square into R. Now QR, sorry, you might say PL, but normally PL is not the general notation. That's why I just mentioned it. So we use Q. Okay. So we use instead of P, R also is not used. Just say P. Okay. The power in the power consumed by the entire circuit, that power is called P and it is I square R. Okay. Now the Q is called reactive power. And then this one is active power. Okay. So this is called reactive power, and the value, as you know, it is I square into X. Okay. So it is called reactive power because you are only when this positive cycle is there and all, when the current is positive and all, there is some energy stored in the magnetic field, and later on when the current direction reverse, the energy is released from the inductor, and then it gets stored in a different orientation. So like if it is a north pole and south pole, because it's working like a electromagnet, the inductance, in the negative cycle it might become south pole and north pole. Okay. So all the time this inductor is storing energy in the form of magnetic field, and then releasing the energy in the form of magnetic field, and again storing in the reverse direction, and then releasing, and all these things. Same thing with the capacitance also. If there is a R and then C, so a capacitor stores energy in the form of electric charge. So it charges, it discharges, charges in the reverse direction, discharges, and so on. Okay. So the energy stored in the capacitor will be that way. So ultimately it is not consuming any energy, the pure ideal capacitor. Of course the plates and all may have some resistance, and because of that there will be some power loss and all. But if you consider a pure impedance, a pure inductance, or a pure capacitance, the net energy consumed by them, or the average energy consumed by them, will be zero. So they store and then they send it back to the circuit. So, but then you can find a quantity of that. That's why that Q is called, and it is called reactive power. Okay. More details about how it happens and all, I can suggest you one of my own video. I'll give it a link so you can see it. What is this one? This is simply I square into Z. Okay, this is S. Okay, so called apparent power. So why it is called apparent power? So if I measure this voltage, I'll get 80 volts, and if I put an ammeter and measure this current, the current will be 2.53 amperes. Okay, so it appears that the voltage is 80, the current is 2.53. Therefore, voltage into current is power and all these things. Okay, so when you do that, what will be the value? 2.53 into 80. How much is that? How much is that? 2.53 into 80. Okay, 202.4. Okay. Now this quantity is called, this is not the actual power consumption of the circuit, okay. This is nothing but voltage into amperes or called VA, volt amperes. The units also important. Now let's calculate P itself. What is P? I square into R. That means 2.553 square multiplied by 10. How much is that? 60? Okay, 64. This is the actual power, and then this we can call it watts. This is the actual power which is being consumed. In what form is it consumed? So it is electrical power, electrical energy converted into heat energy, and this resistance will get heated. Okay, so it will escape the circuit in the form of heat. Heat is also a form of energy. Now what is Q? So you can do I square into X. So 2.53 square multiplied by 30. How much is that? 192. Now the unit for this is called VA small r, volt ampere reactive. Okay. So the unit also is important. So make sure you identify that. Okay. You can always verify 64 square plus 192 square under square root. You will get 202.4. Okay. So it's just multiplication with current. So what is the other value for this? This is I into VR. Okay. So current into voltage of resistance only. This is I into Vx or VL, and this is I into V. So even that you can verify. So it's just like that. So these three triangles are quite important. So this is so this is the impedance triangle, this is voltage triangle, this is power triangle. Now let me talk about another concept. That is called power factor. Okay, power factor. So the power factor is nothing but, see, total apparent power is 2.024. Okay, so S is V into I, that is 202.4. Okay, so the actual power is some factor of S. Okay, so S multiplied by something, this 64, like that you have to get it. Okay, so that is actually, if you notice, see, it is, see, what is the value of P? I into VR. Okay, so I into VR. So what is VR? Look at this triangle. What is VR? V into cos phi. Okay. So I V cos phi. Okay. So the hypotenuse multiplied by cos phi will give you the adjacent side, which is VR. Okay. So this VI is already S. Okay. So I'll see P equal to S into cos phi. Okay. So this part is called power factor, PF. Okay. This is power factor, PF is a short notation for that. This is apparent power and this is active power. Okay. So what is power factor? You can also say power factor is the ratio of active power to apparent power. So if I P divided by S, that is one way of saying power factor. The power factor is also the ratio of power factor is also ratio of, what is that? The supply voltage to resistance voltage. Okay. Power factor is also ratio of impedance to resistance. Z by R by Z, sorry, it's a reverse way all the time. So ratio of VR by V, ratio of R by Z, or ratio of P by S is power factor cos phi. Okay. So what is the importance of power factor? So if I am designing a circuit, let's say if I am designing a circuit, let me write it here, this place. Okay. So there is a AC device. Okay, a device which consumes the AC power. It may be a induction motor, it may be a fan, it may be a refrigerator, it may be a any AC, air conditioner, whatever, AC device. Okay, and I'm applying my supply voltage, 230 volts, 50 hertz. Okay. So this is the supply voltage which we get from the wall power outlet. Okay. Power outlet in your wall. Okay. Now this device, would you like to have lesser power factor or higher power factor? So what I am saying is, let's say let's fix the power. Let's say power is 100 watts. Okay, the power is 100 watts. Okay. Now to meet this 100 watts, when the current will be minimum? If your power factor is higher, then to meet this P equal to 100 watts, you can get a lesser. You can do that with lesser amount of magnitude of current. Okay, so you can actually quickly see that. See, if the power factor is very small, then you need more current to meet this criteria. Okay. So if your see V is fixed, P is fixed, V is fixed. So if your cos phi is very small, then I will be large, and if your cos phi is, the maximum value for cos phi is 1. Okay, if your cos phi is 1, then the current will be minimum. But the problem is, if it is a device which is like a let's say induction motor. Okay, so how does an induction motor works? So induction motor has some kind of a you will learn it in later classes anyway. Induction motor works by generating a magnetic field. Okay, and then interaction of that magnetic fields inside the motor and all will be there. And in order to generate a magnetic field, you need inductance. Okay, and the moment you start having inductance, then your power factor will reduce. Okay. So therefore, you cannot make it, power factor of 1. Always, because the working principle of the machine itself requires that some magnetic field is generated. Therefore, induction motor by definition is a lagging power factor device, and that power factor device will always have some value of lesser value of cos phi. So therefore, the current, what is the disadvantage of that? If there is a small resistance in this line, so because of the magnitude of the current, the losses will be more. So the power factor, that's why it is advisable to have a power factor equal to 1. Now the power factor also has a comes in 2 flavors. Okay, is the power factor lagging or is the power factor leading? Okay, so in this case, by the way, in this case, what is the power factor? What is PF here? 64 divided by 202.4. How much is that? 64 divided by 202.4. How much? 0.31. Okay, LAG, lag. Okay, you have to mention which one also. So 0.31 lag is my power factor. The specification of power factor also includes like what is the fraction, 0.3, 0.5, 0.7 like that, and then whether it is leading or lagging. Okay. The power factor may be leading also if it is a capacitive circuit. Okay. So just to build upon these ideas, let's work on one more example problem, and then we'll see. Okay. So So the question is like this. Ten ohms. And I will mark okay. So a circuit is shown to you, and the question is, what is the value of V1, what is the value of V2, and then how do you represent this circuit in the form of a phasor diagram. Okay. So now how do you start? First step is, look here. So this is 200 volts, 50 hertz. Okay. So the frequency is given. Why is frequency given in the question? So that you can calculate the reactance of this, because the value, this millihenries, means it's the inductance is given to you. Okay. So this 200 is RMS value, it's not the peak value, so don't confuse. So let's calculate the, let's call this L1, R1, R2, L2 and C1. Okay, I am just giving the labels to different devices. So what is X L1? Which is nothing but omega L, L1, okay, which is nothing but, see, if it is 50 hertz, 2 pi into F, okay, so the pi value is 3.14, normally it is like to round it off, so 2 pi F, F is 50, so 50 into 2 is 100, so normally if it is 50 hertz, you can directly say 314 into 50 milli, 0.05, okay, this is 50 milli, okay. So how much is this? How much is this? 314 into 0.05. How much? 15.7, okay. So this is unit is in ohms, and you can always add one J to identify that it is a inductance and it's a inductive reactance, okay, plus J. Now what is XL2? Omega L2. So it is 314 into 0.1. This is 100 millihenries, exactly the double of the previous one. So I can always write 31.4 ohms. See, double of 15.7 is 31.4. So I can just calculate it right away. So now what is XC? So 1 by omega C. So this is this one for reactance for this. So 1 divided by omega is 314, and then what is C? 50 micro, 50 into 10 power minus 6. Okay, how much is this? 1 by 314 into 50 into 10 power minus 6. How much is that? Can someone help me with the calculation? So I am writing minus J 63 point, yeah. So let's make it 63.7. Okay, just rounding to nearest decimal. So this is also in ohms. Okay, this is capacitive reactance. This is inductive reactance. Positive, negative. Okay. So now that I have these values, so I can just remove this just for, to save space. I will write it plus J 15.7 minus plus J 31.7, and this is minus J 63.7. Okay. So now maybe I think that, see, finding V1, V2 is the overall objective. Maybe I think I will find current first so that I can do the next step. Okay. So how to find the current first? So I want to find the total impedance. Okay. What is total impedance? So real components, because everything is series, 10 plus 20. Okay. And what is the total reactance? So plus J. So 15.7 plus 31 point, is that 15.7? Yeah, this is 31.4. Okay, 31.4 minus 63.7. Okay, so this is 30 minus J, how much? Because this is 63, looks like 16.6. Okay, so this is in impedance. Okay, now I'll convert into polar form. Okay, so let me do that. So how much are you getting? So are you getting this? So 16.6 divided by 30 and you make it tan inverse. Okay, and of course you should also consider the sign. So be careful. All that. So are you getting this? Now what is I? V by Z. Okay, 200 0 degrees divided by 34.3 minus 29 degrees. So which will be? How much? Yeah, so 5.83 plus 29 degrees. Okay, so the current is leading the voltage, and this time our power factor will be leading. Our circuit itself is capacitive circuit, everything like that. So I will mark the current here. I equal to 5.83 angle 29 degrees. Okay. Now how to find V1? So I can only find, let's call it Z1, impedance between these two, multiply with I. So I into Z1, I'll get V1. Okay. So what is Z1? So impedance only up to this part. Okay, that is 10 plus J 15.7. Okay, so how much is that? What is the angle? So I calculated Z1 only. Okay, 10 square plus 15.7 square under square root, you will get this, and the tan inverse of this by this, you will get 57.5 degrees. Okay. So what is V1? I into Z1. Okay, because this current is flowing through this entire Z1, so the V1 is measured from here to here. Just like, you know, solving your DC circuits with Ohm's law. So what is V1? So 18.6 multiplied by 5.83. How much is that? 108. Okay, 108.5. And what is the angle? So the angle of I add to the angle of Z1. And angle of I is plus 29. Angle of Z1 is plus 57.5. So the total will be 86.5. This is my V1. Is that clear? So this will be in volts. So are you following? So what is V2? So for that I'll calculate what is Z2. So what is impedance from here to here? So impedance from here to here is 20 plus J 31.4 minus 63.7. Okay, so I'm just, this is plus impedance, this is negative impedance. So what is this? So this is 20 minus J 32.3. Okay, so I'll convert it again into polar form. So this is 38 minus 58 degrees. Okay, 58.2. I'll keep it 58. So this is my Z2. So what is V2? I'll just simply multiply. So maybe I'll do it here. V2 will be I2 into Z2, which is 5.83 into 38. How much is that? 198. 5.83 into 38. Okay, 198.7. And what is the angle? So plus 29 minus 58. Minus 29. Okay. So that is about V2. Okay. So you can always, now can I say V1 square plus V2 square under root, is it equal to 200? Can I say that? Yes or no? Yes or no? Is V1 square plus V2 square under square root equal to 200? So most of you are saying no. Why no? Yeah, because V1, V2 not 90 degrees, because their Z1, Z2 themselves are having some mix of impedances and different values. Okay. Now to get a picture of it, we can always draw the vector diagram. So that I'll do it now. Okay. So let's, did I write everything? Okay. What is V1? 108.5. Angle is 86.5. This one, 86.5. And what is V2? 198.7, and the angle is this is not correct. 221 point. Okay, and then what is the angle? Okay, so is it sure? This not. So I think you told, no? It's wrong. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So now I'll ask you an interesting question. See, my supply voltage itself is only 200 volts. How can I get 221 volts at that point? Yeah, one answer I heard is it's anyway out of phase, so we don't have to worry about it. So because we have energy storage elements, so C1 is the energy storage element, energy storage. So what is happening is they are storing the energy and releasing the energy at a different time, and such a way that the voltage magnitudes are adding up to this value. Okay. But ultimately the power if you see, it will be exactly the same. What I mean is the supply power and receiving power will be same. We will come to powers, but before going to powers, let's draw the phasor diagram and then we'll move forward. Okay. So I'll just, because we have all the numbers here, I don't need the calculations. See, there is no one way of drawing the phasor diagram. You can do it in multiple ways. it's a matter of different styles. So let's begin by marking x-axis and y-axis. Okay, so then which we want to take as reference? So obviously here this one 200 volts 0 degrees looks like voltage is the reference. So we can start by doing that. So let's say this is 200 volts. Okay. So we can actually, if you have a scale, you can actually measure it. Somebody have a scale? Is there a scale inside that? Okay. So yeah. So let's say this is 100 volts. Okay. So 100 volts, 200 volts. So maybe up to here. Where is the? Okay. So this is V 200 volts. Okay. What next? Now the current 5.83. Okay. So I can use a different scale for the current. So let's say this is 5 amperes. Okay. If the scale is 5 amperes, so I can just say slightly more than that. And the current is leading or lagging? Current is leading. Okay. So I'll be drawing the current above, somewhere like this, slightly larger. So this is. Let me use yellow color for the current. So this is my current I equal to, let me write it here, 5.8 and 8, I'll just write 5.8, 29 degrees, and this angle is 29 degrees. Okay. So now what is the voltage in this resistance R1? That is 10 into 5.8, that is 58 volts. Okay, half of this, because this is about 58% of this. Okay, so I can just say up to here maybe. So this one is the in phase with I1, voltage across this one, small r1. Okay. What is the voltage across L1? 5.83 multiplied by 15.7. How much is that? 5.83 multiplied by 15.7. See, the voltage of this one, only this element, 91.53. And the angle of it, if you see, 29 plus 90. 29 plus 90 will be somewhere around 119 degrees, which is, so it will automatically come as long as you make it perpendicular to this. Okay. How much was the magnitude? 91.5 volts. So slightly smaller than this scale. Okay. So slightly smaller, somewhere here. So this is VL1, 91.5, and the angle will be automatically, see, this is 29 and then this is 90 degrees. So 29 plus 90 will be automatically coming to 119. So now I am here. Okay. Now what is the resistance here? 20 ohms. So 20 into 5.83. How much is that? 116. Okay, the voltage of this, only this element is 116, and the angle will be, this is 0 degrees, this is 29 degrees, so 29 degrees. It will be exactly parallel to the current. Okay, so how much? 116. So slightly 16% longer than this. So this is 100 volts and then somewhere here. Okay, this is voltage of R2, VR2. Okay, 116. Okay, VL1, VR2. This is VR1. Okay. What next? Voltage in this one. How much is that? 184.8. So how did we get 184? Just this multiplied by this, we get 184.8. So 184 is, this is 100 volts, so slightly less than this. Okay. So 100, so again it is 100 volts up to here, 200 volts up to here, maybe up to here is 184 volts. So this is VL3. Okay. and it is leading by 90 degrees. Angle also you will agree. This is parallel to this. So VL1, VL3 are in phase because they are in the same this one. So what is the voltage of this capacitance? So VC1, let me write it here. So what is VC1? Is I into XC1. So 5.83 29 degrees multiplied by 63.7 minus 90 degrees. Notice it is minus J, therefore it is minus 90 degrees. So how much is this? 371.37, and the angle, so we'll not worry about that. 371, angle is minus 61 degrees. Okay, so this is VC. So notice my supply voltage itself only 200 volts, but this voltage is almost as high as 371 volts. The magnitude may be more. So 371, okay, in the direction of minus 61 degrees. So I'll start from here. Okay, so this is 100 volts, 200 volts, 300 volts. So it's actually going more than 400, but because I did not draw it exactly. So the point is, if I just come back here, minus 61 degrees, it should come and meet my supply voltage. Okay, so VR1 plus VL1 plus VR2 plus VL, what is that? VL3, VL2 only, yeah, plus VC1, all the addition of all the voltages should bring me back to my supply voltage Vs. Okay, so of course you draw it exactly, you take a graph sheet and then measure it exactly and then draw it. You will find out graphically that it is adding to that. Okay. Now if I draw a vector like this, VR1 plus VL1 like this. Okay, what is this? VR1 plus VL1 is my V1 as per my labeling. Okay, this is V1 according to my this one. So how much is the length of this? So this is 100 volts, slightly more than 100, and maybe slightly above 90 degrees, above the 90 degrees. So what was V1? Slightly more than 100, slightly less than 90 degrees. So there itself we can see some. I think my old diagram shifted like this a little bit. So this 108, you can measure it here. So this is 100, slightly more than 100. So magnitude anyway matching, angle also more or less matching, should write accurately. What about V2? V2 is this plus this plus this. So where do you show V2 in this diagram? So the V2 in this diagram is this one. So this is V2 because this vector plus this vector plus this vector, this is V2. Okay, and its magnitude is 221. So this is 100, this is 200, and then slightly more 221. So we can verify that. And the angle is minus 29 degrees. Okay, how do you say it is minus 29 degrees? Because I think it will come out to be like that. You can always calculate that. We still have some more time left. Let's do power balance kind of thing. Okay. See, you understood this diagram. See, a different person may draw it in a different way. So, to different way in the sense, it also has to be correct. Just to show, like instead of adding one on top of the other, you can always add show all the vectors from the origin point and then do like that. So let's do the power thing. Okay, so what happens is component. So I have V, this is my supply voltage. I have R1, I have R2, I have L1, I have L2, and then I have C1. So these are my components in this circuit. Okay. So now active power. So I denote it as capital P. Okay. Now I don't need this. Reactive power, I denote it as Q, and then, okay. Now I am asking the question, what is the total active power output of V? Active power output of V. How much active power this voltage source is giving? So is it V into I? See, V into I, what is this? This is S, which is 5.83 into 200. How much is that? 5.83 into 200. Okay, 1166 VA, volt amperes. Okay, or 1.16 kVA, kilovolt amperes. Okay, this is only the apparent power. But actually, what is the active power? VI cos phi. Okay, or in other words, VI cos of 29 degrees. So how much is that? Or I can, yeah, there are different ways of calculating. How much is that? 1019. Yeah, so 10. Let's make it 1020. So the active power output of my voltage source is this much. Okay, because it is like this. This is 1166 volt amperes, and this is 1020 watts. Okay, and this angle is 29 degrees. Okay, cos 29. You can always find out, and then you can do that. Okay, so let me write it 1020 watts. How much is the reactive power supplied by this source? So I can always calculate 1166 square minus 1020 square under square root. I can always find this one using that. So how much is the reactive power Q? 564. Okay, 565. Let's round it off. So 565. So notice this is VARs, VAR, and this is watts, WATT. Okay. Now look at R1. How much is the power consumed by R1? Simple, I square R. So 5.83 square. So it helps if you know what is I square. So what is I square? 5.83 into 5.83. How much is that? 33.9. Okay. So we'll just round it off. Okay. We'll keep it 33.9. So what is 33.9 square? It's already square. 33.9 into 10 watts. 339. Okay. 339 watts. Now, positive is consumption. Negative is consumption, positive is supply. Okay, I am just using that notation. Okay, so this 1020 is supplied by the voltage source, that's why positive. This is also supplied from the source, that's why it is positive. Okay, so I will make it negative. By the way, this is actually negative. Strange. So the source is consuming reactive power because the circuit is capacitive. Think about it. I don't have time to explain the details. We'll move forward. At least P column you will understand. Okay. So what is the power in the R2? See, power in the R2, same magnitude of current, double the magnitude of resistance. So the power also will be double. So double of 339 is how much? 8, 7, 6. Okay. So the power in L1 is 0, the power in L2 is 0, this is also 0. So you add all these things, does it cancel out each other? No. How much is the error? So if you add all these things, it should cancel out each other. The 3 watts which is coming is just a calculation, rounding of error. Okay. So this whole thing gets cancelled. So net power equal to 0. So power supplied equal to power consumed. So it is electrical power. You cannot do that. So these two will cancel out each other. Just notice it. Okay. Is it cancelling out? Yeah. Now, let's look at the reactive power. The reactive power of this is 0, reactive power of this is 0 because pure resistance, there is no reactive power. What is the reactive power of L1? So, because it is inductor, it is consuming reactive power. Okay. Reactive power of L1 is 15.7 multiplied by 5.83 into 5.83. How much is that? 532. So this is the reactive power consumed by 50 millihenries reactor. Okay. The reactive power consumed by this one will be double of that because the value is double and the current is same. So it will be how much? 641064. Okay. So the total reactive power consumed by L1 is this one, consumed by L2 is this one. So somebody has to supply that reactive power. Okay. How much reactive power supplied by the capacitor? So you can always multiply I square into XC. How much is that? How much? Okay. So 2159. Okay. So 2159 amount of reactive power supplied by the capacitor, 1064 consumed by L2, 5032 consumed by L1. Still some reactive power is left over. That leftover reactive power is going back to the supply voltage, 565 volts. Okay. So the supply voltage actually, so if you notice, the active power is coming out and the reactive power is entering into it. Okay. So is that matching the amount? See, forget about this sign. See, it is 2159 minus this. How much? 1095 minus 532. 1095 minus 532. 563, which is matching with this one. Okay. So, but the direction is like this. Okay. Let me mark it then. Okay. So the direction is. So I'll write it here. Okay. So this is the starting point where 2159 VARs are starting and going to L2 1064 VAR, going to L1 532 VAR, and then finally going to back to the supply 565 VAR. Okay, that is accounting for this one, VARs. Okay. Now accounting for the active power. Okay. So the active power starting here, maybe I'll put it this side, 1020 watts. That 1020 watts going here is 339. The remaining goes like this, and then going here is 678. That's all. Okay. So the active power starts here, goes like this, and the reactive power starts here, comes back like this. Okay. So a capacitor is a source of reactive power. Inductor is a sink of reactive power, consumer of reactive power, and the whole reactive power is like this. But then there is no work done by reactive power. All the work done is work done, energy, heat, everything also only with active power. Reactive power is just reactive. That means it's on an average the power will be 0 in that. Okay. So you try to think more about it. What is reactive power and all? It's in the AC circuits. It's one in fact in the AC power systems, everything reactive power is one of the more interesting, confusing kind of topic. So think about it. Okay. We still have 10 minutes. I think let's just take a break for a minute.